Hi everyone, hope you're doing really, really good, and I mean that most sincerely. So, anybody allowed their stress levels to get to them during the COVID-19? I mean, it's a fair question, isn't it? It's an unprecedented event. We've never known anything like it. We've not really known how to deal with it. Not even our leaders, our so-called leaders, who are running the country, have really dealt with it in any professional way. It's almost like they've been stumbling along and making a few mistakes along the way. It almost kind of proves the point that man cannot really direct his own steps, just like God said, that he just will stumble from one problem to the next. You can't help but think that sooner or later it will return. We'll get the second strain, and are we looking at millions of deaths at that point? I mean, that's a horrible thought, isn't it, to think that we could get a mirror reflection of what we've had in the past. And that obviously means many millions to die through pestilence, a modern day pandemic, epidemic, that really they just don't have a cure for at the moment. And so it leaves you wondering, doesn't it, that you begin to think that they're not really that clever, humans, for all their boast and for everything that they've done with medicines and engineering abilities. It comes down to the fact that half the time they just stumble across an answer to things. It's never within a purpose, whereas as far as God's concerned, everything that he does is within a purpose, a divine master plan, if you like. Right, okay. I'll just let you know what I've been up to. Totally run off my feet, busy beyond belief. Since the start of COVID-19, I was rung up by my employer to ask if I would go on 24/7 call out and deal with all the emergencies in England, because they were letting the other engineers in the England regions, they were letting them all go on the furlough scheme. But with me, they decided not to do that. So they asked me if I'd take care of things. So I did. And I considered it to be a bit of an honour as well along the way, to be, representing your country during such a difficult time. I've worked at quite a few COVID-19 hospitals. I've seen some conversions. Harrogate International Centre, they've converted that. They have 770 beds, even though to this day I don't believe that any of those beds have actually been used. My initial impression when I got the tour was that this isn't for the first wave, this is probably for the second wave. And that's when I began to wonder why all this money had been made available for all the refits throughout the UK at the moment. And a lot of people were asking the same question at the time about those two in London. Have they really been used extensively? No, they haven't. But that doesn't mean that they won't be at some stage, because I'm quite sure that this is going to be with us for a few years. Right, let's just change the tack slightly, right? And let's talk about why, although the rest of the world is sort of easing back into normality, the Jehovah's Witnesses are not. They're not going to resume the preaching activity in 2020, so I'm led to believe. They would look at that in 2021, even though by that time we don't know what the state of the economies are going to be like. We don't really know what's going to be happening, do we? Because none of us can foretell the future to that extent. But just say, when they do return, they don't come back with the same message, and they have a different message. The Hailstone message is what I like to refer to it as. And they all become modern day Jeremiahs. Be a bit of a difficult pill to swallow, that, won't it? Walking past them in the town centre, and they're giving out this Hailstone message. Yeah, a difficult one, that. I don't know how I'm going to feel when that happens, but I'm pretty sure that the rhetoric and the talks and everything else, all the grooming that's going on at the moment, is to prepare them for this new message change, which is something that I was harping on about, wasn't I, more than a year ago. I did a couple of videos about the message changing and they would become modern day Jeremiahs. I believe that that will happen. And if the preaching work resumes next year, in 2021, and the message is different from what it is at the moment, how will you feel? I mean, how would I feel? Will I feel as if, oh, bloody hell, I was only saying that, wasn't I, the other day, that the message would change, and now it has. So I don't know. It's going to be something that's going to probably rock us, especially if they believe that Putin's Russia is that king of the north, which they kind of identified in 2018, and they believe that it'd be systematic of the king of the north to continue the push in and to attack the remnant of the seed. I don't know, people. I don't know. But somebody does. Somebody always has an opinion. So, yeah, I'm just checking in. Let us know about the gossip of what you found out. Who's in, who's out, who's still married. Good question. I mean, you have to ask that, don't you? Because you hear about relationships breaking up during the COVID-19 and you think to yourself, oh, they can't have been that strong a marriage. But then again, they might have been strong. It's just that when you're put in against a situation like we've been in, and you're not earning, and you're more or less being confined to the four walls of your house, it's going to find out everything about you, everything about whatever relationship you've been in. It's going to find you out. If you're a person that is a trier and your partner isn't, and they're just letting you do all the work, then it ain't going to work. So I've heard of quite a few marriages breaking up, quite a few relationships breaking up, and a lot of violence ensuing, and a lot of children, unfortunately, a lot of children being caught up in abuses during all this time, as if they think that they've got a free hand, these abusers, to carry out extra special attentions on children. It never goes away, does it? Never goes away. And still sickens me to this day when I hear of ex-brothers that have been involved with it. Yeah, sickens me. Yeah, I can't cover it up. I just couldn't. Had to shout from the rooftops. So if that's what's going on, then so be it. And it all needs to be completely put out in there in the open. And you get no argument from me for that. Right, I'm going to have a cup of tea because I'm particularly thirsty. So I bid you farewell for now, and I hope that when I next talk to you, you have told me about the community and who's in, who's out, who's still posting, and who drops off the scene. I like all the gossip, and you're the ones to provide it. Thank you. Goodbye.